Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4. So let a man think of us as Christ's servants and stewards of God's mysteries. Here, moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found faithful. But with me it is a very small thing that I should be judged by you, or by a human court. Yes, I don't even judge my own self. For I know nothing against myself, yet I am not justified by this, but he who judges me is the Lord. Therefore, judge nothing before the time until the Lord comes, who will both bring to light the hidden things of darkness and reveal the counsels of the hearts. Then each man will get his praise from God. Now these things, brothers, I have in a figure transferred to myself and Apollos for your sakes, that in us you might learn not to think beyond the things which are written, that none of you be puffed up against one another. For who makes you different? And what do you have that you didn't receive? But if you did receive it, why do you boast as if you had not received it? You are already filled. You have already become rich. You have come to reign without us. Yes, and I wish that you did reign, that we also might reign with you. For I think that God has displayed us, the apostles, last of all, like men sentenced to death. For we are made a spectacle to the world, both to angels and men. We are fools for Christ's sake, but you are wise in Christ. We are weak, but you are strong. You have honor, but we have dishonor. Even to this present hour, we hunger, thirst, are naked, are beaten, and have no certain dwelling place. We toil, working with our own hands. When people curse us, we bless. Being persecuted, we endure. Being defamed, we entreat. We are made as the filth of the world, the dirt wiped off by all, even until now. I don't write these things to shame you, but to admonish you as my beloved children. For though you have 10,000 tutors in Christ, you don't have many fathers. For in Christ Jesus, I became your father through the good news. I beg you, therefore, be imitators of me. Because of this I have sent Timothy to you, who is my beloved and faithful child in the Lord, who will remind you of my ways which are in Christ, even as I teach everywhere in every assembly. Now, some are puffed up, as though I were not coming to you. But I will come to you shortly, if the Lord is willing. And I will know, not the word of those who are puffed up, but the power. For God's kingdom is not in word, but in power. What do you want? Shall I come to you with a rod, or in love and a spirit of gentleness? You know how sometimes you can tell when one of your good friends has finally had enough of your shenanigans? They've been patient, they've been kind to you, they've been dropping little hints, but eventually comes a moment when they finally stop all that. Look you in the eye. Okay, it's time we have a little chit-chat. That's about where Paul is in this chapter. He loves the Corinthians deeply, but he's done tiptoeing around the issue. I know we've mentioned it before, but by this point the Corinthians had developed a dirty little habit, picking sides. I'm with Paul, well, I'm with Apollos. Actually, I follow Peter. By this point, it had turned into something sort of like a rival sports fan bases arguing with each other. Except in this case, the stakes were the eternal souls of everyone involved. And in the process, they had started appointing themselves as judges of their own spiritual leaders. Paul gently but firmly pulls the rug out from under their feet. He reminds them, he doesn't even judge himself. That's God's job. Imagine being so grounded in humility that you're not even caught up in your own self-evaluation, just faithful, trusting God with the verdict. St. Augustine once put it beautifully, "Our heart is restless until it rests in thee." The Corinthians were restless, but instead of resting in God, they were resting in their opinions of each other. The next part, Paul's tone shifts a little bit. Let's just say we didn't invent sarcasm. He essentially says, "Oh, so you've already arrived. You're already rich, already reigning like kings. Fantastic. I wish I could say the same." Let's think about it like this. Imagine a soldier writing home from the front lines to friends who are posting photos of their comfortable lives, bragging about how well they're doing. The soldier isn't bitter, but he wants them to wake up to the reality of the battle they're all supposed to be fighting together. That's Paul. He's homeless, hungry, beaten, slandered, doing manual labor just to survive. And the Corinthians are busy curating their reputation, climbing the social ladder in Corinth. He calls himself and the apostles the scum of the earth, in the world's eyes. Not with self-pity, but almost with a badge of honor, because that's what following a crucified Lord actually looks like sometimes. The Catechism of the Catholic Church reminds us, the way of perfection passes by way of the cross. Comfort and status are not signs of spiritual maturity. Oftentimes, it's quite the opposite. The end of this chapter is where Paul's heart really shows. After all the stern words, he pauses and says, "I'm not writing this to shame you. I'm writing this because I love you, like a father loves his children." They could have all kinds of teachers and guides throughout their lives, but only one person led them to Christ. In this case, that was Paul. And a good father doesn't let his kids sleepwalk into disaster just to avoid an awkward conversation. He's sending Timothy ahead as a kind of preview to model the life Paul teaches. And then Paul himself is coming, and his closing question is almost tender in its directness. "Do you want me to come with a rod, or with love and a gentle spirit?" Well, your behavior will decide that. I mean, he said it himself, hungry, beaten, slandered, doing manual labor. Paul's life looked nothing like what the world calls successful, but he was clearly at peace, grounded, full of purpose. Where in our own life might we be chasing comfort or status or maybe approval of others? And how could God be inviting us to trade that for something more real, even if it's much more difficult?